Are you ready to take your ministry in a new direction? Are you ready to explore new innovative ways to carry the gospel of Jesus Christ to the world? Have you ever thought about having a television ministry? Were you reluctant because of pricing? Did it seem too costly for your ministry? If I told you that television is affordable, and that there is a solution within your budget, would you be interested? There is an affordable solution for your ministry. It's Clarity IBN. Clarity is an affordable option for you to be on television. You can reach the world for Jesus without breaking your budget. Go now. Go to clarityibn.org. Fill out the contact form, and a representative from Clarity IBN will email you on how you can be on television affordably. Don't wait, don't procrastinate. Do it now. Go to clarityibn.org and get started.
Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Moment of Truth. This is Live at 5 with your host, Dr. Harold G. Dacus Jr. We're live at the church tonight at 10810 Bancroft Avenue. And we are here tonight for our study in the Bible. And we are going to, tonight is our open forum roundtable. And we do have audience in tonight. So we're going to be discussing a few things tonight. Our other co-host for Thursday night, Bishop LZ, had an operation on yesterday, and but he's recuperating well. And I told him I did not want to see him here tonight because he's under orders from the doctor to not do anything for the next 5 to 7 days. And you know, sometimes we're hard-headed. We trust God, we believe God, but let's face the truth. Sometimes we got to trust also the doctors whom God gave the knowledge regarding our health and our bodies. And we're not spring chickens. I can attest to that because I'm going to tell you now, I've learned a big lesson. Some things that I used to do, I used to think I could do, I cannot do, and I'm not going to be trying to do. So anyway, that being said, we'll get into our lesson tonight. And I want to talk about something because it came up in some of my studying over the last couple of days, and something has really just kind of, oh Lord, piqued my, well, set off my radar. That's exactly what it is. It has set off my radar. Okay, so let me first get back to setting up my Bible here and got switched around. And we're going to go to our Bibles, our King James Bible, because I want to ask some questions. We live now in a society where morals have seemed to have had a funeral. They've killed morality, and morality has had a funeral. I don't understand this new way of thinking about morality and how should I say, morality and how they gauge whether or not something is right or wrong now. Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. And the first question I want to bring about is Jesus made a statement, and the statement was, if any man look up on a woman to lust after her. Now, there is some, I'm going to bring it up on the screen for you all to see too. Let me bring it up right now. We're going to go to Matthew 5:28. Matthew 5 is one of my favorite passages. I used to recite a lot of the 5th chapter of Matthew as a child coming up in church. And my grandmother was the one that mitigated that. Thank God for her. She made sure that I at least could quote the Bible. Yeah. All right, so let me share this with you all so you'll see it on the screen with us tonight. And let's look at this. Now, he says, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. And I'm asking this question in this wise. He said mitigated or initiated. Yes, sir, Pastor Samuel. Here's the thing. When he made this statement, was Jesus saying that they had committed the act, or was he making reference to something even more powerful? That's the question. What did Jesus mean when he said he says, already committed adultery with her already in his heart? Say that again. The thought. Okay. And what is so powerful about the thought? What's so powerful about the thought?
Because the thought is the beginning of you first think of when you do.
Okay. Everything begins with a thought. I preached a series several years ago. One thought, one word, one action. All it takes is the thought. And the thought causes you to speak. And then you can talk yourself into committing the act. But it all begins with you thinking it. See? Okay. So the thought, though, has to be what? What is the thought then? If you look at it on that wise, and that's what I was leading to. When you look on that wise, then what is the thought? You ever remember what Jesus said about soul winning? He said, one plant, one water, God gives the increase. The thought is the what? The planting. But in order for a seed to take root, number one, it has to be in good ground and water. It has to be cultivated. Okay, let's go all the way back. When David saw Bathsheba on the balcony, had he sinned yet? He had committed the act yet. But in his heart, he what? He began to ponder and lust. Now, so this was what Sister Quick said. You think a lot of things, but you don't always do what you're thinking. So the problem really isn't the thinking. The problem is entertaining the thought with the intent to act on it. Too often people don't, you ever have a situation where somebody is heading in your direction and you know they're finna come with trouble and you stop them before they get started? That's what is not being done with our thoughts, because think about it today. People don't think that their thoughts are that powerful. Oh, this is harmful. I mean, this is harmless. The whole consensus of society now is they don't take that seriously, that one's thoughts can be that damaging. Uh-huh. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. A real thought. Mm. Wow. What did let's see. Let's go to Ephesians 4 and 26. See, because here's the thing, and you said you prayed and asked God not to let you act on this. Ephesians 4 and 26. Let me put it up on the screen for everybody. Be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath, neither give place to the devil. He never said you wouldn't be angry. Okay? He says we have to learn how to control those urges and don't give place to the devil. Don't let the devil get the victory out of you being angry, because that's a natural process, a natural reaction. And I remember somebody asked me one time, you used to be quiet, but now why have you started saying stuff to people when they do stuff, and you voice it now? I said, because I learned something. If somebody keeps doing something to me that I don't like, and I never say anything about it, and I wait until I get angry and boil over and then burst out at them, I'm at wrong, because I never told them I was displeased with that. So now, if I tell them, I now, if it puts me to that point where I say, okay, I've had enough. I told you, I'm done, and I walk on. Number one, I didn't blow up, but number two, they had ample warning, and it's not on me that I never told them I didn't like that. He said, be angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down on your wrath, and give no place to the devil. A lot of times we allow our thoughts, and I think sometimes it's because it's something we really want to do or want to feel justified in doing. And all we need is a little nudging. What that song said, don't push me, I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. See, if I'm already teetering on the edge, and all I need is a little nudge. And see, here's what I've learned. Stop walking on the edge. We walk on the edge too much. We really do. But look at how society has taken us. The Bible said, Jesus said to them, if any man looketh on a woman to lust after her, he's already committed adultery with her in his heart. He's committed adultery with her already in his heart. In other words, this is the heart of man, the mind. He's already processed it in his mind because he's visualizing himself. Because now lust is desiring. It is what is it is the oh Lord, the overwhelming urge of the pleasure of the moment. So he says he's already committed it in his heart. He went too, in other words, let's look at how David did. David saw the woman bathing. I remember a preacher preached this one time, and his subject was, look no further. He said the first problem was when David went out on that balcony and Bathsheba was out there bathing. Number one, she wasn't violating any laws or rules because that's what they did. They bathed and they had the tub on their roof. But because David lived in the palace, he had an advantage point. In other words, he had a view of everything around him. David should have immediately turned around. The righteous man would have seen that and said, oh, Lord. You know, that first look when a person walks in on somebody and he's, I'm sorry. And they walk back out the room. David should have done just that. David should have turned immediately and left the room, went back in the house. But what did he do? David stayed there. David started looking and pondering and lusting. And here's the other thing. How many of you have heard the term, absolute power corrupts and power corrupts absolutely? See, here's the thing that I'm doing a conference in June. It's a men's conference. And I'm doing the Saturday session. And this is what I'm going to talk to the men about. You see, men who have authority and power have to be more cautious than others because women gravitate. That's a turn on for some women. Man in uniform, a man in power, man in charge. That's a turn on, and you take like nowadays, a woman with an agenda in the world, she wants a baller. It means she wants an athlete, preferably an athlete who is considered to be a premier athlete, and especially if you're taken high in the draft, or they come out the woodworks like roaches run to the dark when you turn the lights on, or as roaches come out in the dark when you turn the lights off. That's the way these women come out when these guys. Imagine how many groupies there are. Now, here's the sad thing. I remember the first time I went to a national church convention. Let me tell you what really, something I picked up on and noticed. And it bothered me how many young women were out there. Oh, wait a minute. Uncle Ron says society has the edges so camouflaged that most don't know how close they are to falling. Yeah, some of them fell already before they realized they were on the edge. But these young women, I mean, and I don't mean just a small group. There were so many young single women at the national convention wearing their tight suits and hats and, their, what they call, no, St. John's, those knit suits. Wearing their St. John's and the church lady hats and everything form-fitting and tight. And here's how I know what was up. There was a couple of them, you see these two together all the time. And they used to go together, room together, and preachers would go and talk to them. And the first thing they would ask them is, are you a bishop? Now, first of all, let's understand that dynamic. The majority of bishops, and I mean like 99% of them, are already married. Why are you at a convention looking to hook up with a bishop who probably is already hooked up with somebody? See what I'm saying? But they had an agenda. Well, what surprised me was I would have expected this from a woman in the world, like the women chasing the ballers, the athletes, those type, or the groupies. We all knew about groupies coming up, okay? The girls in the music videos when they first come out, they were all just trying to hook up with a rapper because for a moment he had some money, what they didn't understand is most of those musical artists in the beginning, in every musical genre, those who get in when they first start, they all get taken by the music moguls because they don't make any money. It's the producers, the managers, the record companies, and the songwriters going to have the royalties that make all the money. Well, when you see this going on, and then you wonder, well, okay, where are the real people who are looking for real relationships? And now that brings to the question now, why are so many, and this is in the church, why are so many men staying single and refusing to marry? Anybody got a thought? Okay. Too many women to a man. There's a more serious issue going on too. What'd you say, Brother Brian?
The reason why a lot of us don't want to get married is because there's a secret agenda with a lot of these women in the church. If you don't have a status, a name, or something like that, you're really not going to be looked at. The minute that, seriously,
no, I'm laughing at Brother Sam's comment.
What is that?
Sugar in the tank.
That is, they're saying, just like CNN, just letting you know. That's our new term, CNN. Anyway, but no, it's more so that if you don't have a title, a position in the church, you won't even be seen as
eligible.
And it's weird.
Yeah. There's a term going around now about men becoming the red pill for women. And there's certain characteristics that cause that. You remember the movie The Matrix?
I do.
You had the choice to take the red pill or the blue pill.
Right.
Red pill, he just, he rejects it, and the blue pill, he can go in and he'll get transformed and,
Right. Be part of the Matrix.
be part of the revolution to get him, to free him from the Matrix. Well, if there's a man now who stands up and who is not playing the game or requires some accountability and rejects the gold digger personality, they call him the red pill now. And a lot of this, though, has to do with, too, how people are raised. See, we come up in the church with the understanding this was God's intent for men and women. To be married, to be fruitful, to multiply, replenish the earth, to have a loving relationship. And he says, now this is in the Old Testament. Let every man have his own wife and every woman her own husband. Then Jesus said, for this cause ought a man leave his mother and father and cleave to his own wife. Right. It says wife, didn't say wives. Right. Now, there was a tradition when the population, when there were few people on earth, they had multiple wives. There was an attempt to replenish the earth. But it was always intended that a man have a wife. Yeah. Now, we see, though, now, because of the pursuit of individuals. Now, I'm saying there's some problems on both sides of the coin. Yeah, there's some problem with the men and some problem with the women. But when the thought process opens you up to immorality, in other words, it was like I was sharing on the way here. I was watching a show, and the young lady was on the show. She's married, and she says she cheats, but she cheats respectfully. No, that is funny. How do you cheat respectfully? And then she said, if she was caught, she wouldn't admit it because she loved him enough that she wouldn't want to hurt his feelings. Well, first of all, you on a show that is seen by hundreds of thousands of people. It's out there already, and he gonna know because they're not covering your face, they ain't camouflaging you, and you sitting there with all your pearls hanging out, but yeah, but she cheats, but she cheats respectfully. There's certain things she won't do with the person she's cheating with. Then you have those who, okay, here we go. Uncle Ron's commenting. They don't receive who they think they are marrying because they didn't know them in the first place. Plus the fact that most men don't know which women they are truly compatible with. Well, this is true because here's one of the problems that I saw in the church some years ago. And I even voiced it. I'm a firm believer that just because two people are saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, and a mighty burning fire, don't mean they're compatible to be spouses to each other. This is why premarital counseling should be mandatory. Why perform a ceremony on a couple and they haven't been prepared for what is about to take place? See, there are 7 basic principles to a successful marriage. And the number one is overcoming unexpected expectations. Overcoming unexpected expectations. And the reason most people have unexpected expectations is because they don't go to premarital counseling and they don't discuss the important issues that are integral and important in a marriage. There's a form that I've been using. Oh Lord, let's see. I think Les and Leslie Parole developed it. I think I've been using their material for marital counseling since 97, 98. But after the first session, I give each of them this form, and they're to take it home, and I ask them not to have a conversation with each other. Don't even tell the other one your answers, but you fill out the form separately and then bring them back to the next session. I get into this right away. The form has 3 columns of answers, answer choices, and then it has a column of questions. First column is questions, and then the next 3 columns say you, him, and in hers it says you, her, and then the third one, I'm sorry, I take it back. First column says mother, second column says father, then the next column says which one of you, and you write down me or him, me or her. It's you would crack up at the results of this survey. It's a survey question that is designed to help you eliminate unexpected expectations in their relationship. And here are some of the questions. Question number 1. Who handled the money in the house you grew up in? You check mother or father. And then you check who's going to do it in your house. And you mark me or him, me or her. Do y'all realize? Okay, second question, it'll say, who disciplined the children? Mother or father? Who will in your house? Who paid the bills? Who stayed home with the kids, or who worked? And, it'll say who. If something happened at your house, did your father fix it or your mother fix it? And now, and it would ask too, like with that question, it also, you could write in an answer like, well, my father didn't fix it, but he paid somebody to do it. Or my father would fix it himself, But anyway, it's a whole list of questions. And do you know that over 90% of the questions, they answer differently? And especially in the column that says, which one of you will do it? Which one of you? And it's almost always a different answer. For instance, in my household, my father took care of all the finances. In my wife's household, my father-in-law went to work, made the money, but he brought his check home, gave it to Aunt Bert. She handled all the finances. So when we got together, what do you think was our first argument? Because in my house, who handled it? My daddy. So who do I think gonna handle it? In her house, who handled it? Her mama. Who she think gonna handle it? That was a conflict right there. And most people don't have those discussions to get over those hurdles ahead of time. We don't talk about our preferences. We don't talk about, our likes and dislikes. When it came to recreation and fun things, I was the one that took the kids to the amusement parks and all that. The only place she took them to was Disneyland, because Disneyland had a stigma to it. So she took them to Disneyland because she wanted to be the parent that took them to the greatest place on the planet. But every holiday, Great America, Magic Mountain, Marine World Africa, USA, when it was over in Redwood City, all them places, I took kids. I was the fun one, okay? But you see what I'm saying? And sometimes she might go with us, and sometimes, I ain't interested in that. You see, there's that compatibility, likes and dislikes. I know some couples, they both fish. My wife ain't going fishing. I told her, I said, listen, I'm going to be at a resort. You could have went several times. When I say it's a resort, you can come. They got a spa, they got a hot tub, they got a swimming pool. They got all kind of recreation stuff you can do there. They even got a day spa. They do massages. This is before COVID. I ain't going up there to do no fishing. I ain't asked you to go fishing. I'm gonna fish while you doing your lady stuff. You see what I'm saying? But that's the kind. If because there's thought processes in the mind of people, they don't always get past what they're thinking to even hear what you're saying. Now, the thing I found out about that session with the unexpected expectations, never had a couple where we could get through all of the line items in one session. We had to do discussions and get to understanding about things. And, especially when you got to those areas where one particular party insisted that they going to take care of that, and it was always, especially surrounding the money. Oh, they're going to butt heads with that money. And one of the things, like, I remember one of the couples, I made a suggestion. I said, well, why don't you do this? Why don't both of you take, first I said 6 months each. I said, well, no, let's do a shorter period. You handle the bills for 3 months. You handle the finances for 3 months. And at the end of that 6 months, you come together and you determine honestly who is better at it. I said, but you got to let go of your ego. Because here's the thing. The Bible clearly states our roles as couples. Now, my mother had no problem with my father handling the finances because, number one, he was an accountant. Number two, he was better at it. And he could, he knew how to add, subtract, and he always had money in the bank, and she never had to want for anything. So it didn't bother her. And when he died, though, she had to learn how to write a check. But you see, it didn't bother her, even though early in her life, her parents separated and her mother handled everything. But there were some things my mother wanted to eliminate some of the responsibilities. And if my father could do something, she had no problem letting him handle it. Well, nowadays, because women want to control and be in control, it's very difficult for them to acquiesce and to back up. Even if he's a better financial manager and it doesn't hurt her, she can still do all the stuff she's been doing. Most of them don't want to do it because they don't want to relinquish what they feel is control. But when you get into the psychology thing, there are ways a woman can have control without ever having to put her hands on something, but she can direct it and determine which way it's gonna go. But that's a whole nother class. But the thing was, how do we, in this society now, why are people so mixed up now about, number one, the gender roles, number two, morality, and here's the real thing that has become a problem, and it's very prevalent even in the church. That's why I'm bringing it up on the Bible study tonight. And that is infidelity. That's a serious problem amongst the so-called saints of God. It's a serious problem. Women are very aggressive. It's not always the men now. As a matter of fact, I remember this was, this had to be in the early 90s, because I was pastoring in North Carolina. And we had some issues going on in one of the jurisdiction I was in there. And the thing was that these women were trying to set up the men. They would show up in certain places, dressed very provocatively. They would come to a lot of the meetings. specifically to entice the man. They spend a lot of money on their exterior enhancements. I'll just put it that way. But a lot of it was, as they say, to catch a man. Well, there was a very a wise, she was the wife of a bishop. And at one of the meetings, she taught this class. Now, at first, they were kind of upset with her about what she said, and some people made some complaints, but she was dead on it. She says, y'all run around here. First thing, when she had a session with the single women and the married women. And her session with the married women, she really helped a lot of them out. But with them single women, she said to them, she says, y'all coming out here dressed, trying to entice these men, trying to catch them. She said, what did the Bible say? He that findeth the wife, he never told y'all to go hunt a man down. But that's what they're doing, and they do it even now. Well, one of the biggest trends going now is women proposing to men. They what? Oh, a TV show? Oh, Lord. You don't know the name of it? But it's a show about women proposing to men. Ooh. Uh-huh. Oh, Lord. Right. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, there's another one too. Now, I watched one season of this show because I wanted to find out what was the whole catch of this and how successful were they. And it's called Married at First Sight. And they don't even meet each other until the wedding day at the altar. They don't even meet each other. They don't talk to each other. There's these psychologists and therapists. They go through all of their information and they pair them up. And I think it's something like maybe 6 couples or 8 couples. Maybe 1 or 2 of them at the end of that 8-week period decide to stay together. But, and there's this one I saw, and I'm going to tell you, I knew from the first episode they wouldn't make it, and they were totally compatible. But I knew why they wouldn't make it. Because she had a fear, and he was just stuck he had one mindset. They met that day at the altar, and when she came in, he was floored. She was perfect for him. Their conversation, everything about them. They both were working in the same field, but here was the deal breaker. She was a virgin, and he wasn't, but he was willing because he fell for it. He was willing to work with her and give her time. But during that whole first 8 weeks, no matter how he tried to either broach the subject or how he tried to make her comfortable, or feel like this is not what his main objective was, she was adamant. I'm a virgin. And I said I was going to stay until I was married. But I ain't ready yet. And the whole point was, and even the people asked her when they had the conversation with her about 6 weeks in, what was stopping her and why was she so afraid? She couldn't answer. Her fear had her thinking that the moment that she relinquished her virginity to him, that he was going to bounce. Or that was, that was all he wanted. And no matter how comfortable he would make her, no matter what he said or did. And it was such an awkward situation. By the time they got to week 8, where it was the decision day, he told them, he says, I felt falling totally in love with this girl, but I can't handle her. I can't make her feel comfortable. I can't make her understand. He says, and it's not that I want to take her virginity. I really want to be married to her. And I want her to be my wife. She says she loves me and I love her, but she's adamant she ain't finna have sex. Period. She was her whole thing was, and they didn't prepare them properly. That I thought was one of the travesties, was even if you're gonna do something like that, I don't think you should just bring them to an altar and have a ceremony and then expect that that's going to blossom into something, And then there was this one guy. He was had been a professional basketball player, but he hadn't played in years, and he was just a playboy. Now the whole time he's with this girl, and she didn't fell head over heels for him. He disappeared twice during the 8 weeks, and each time, they caught him with another woman because he still had a girlfriend. I don't even know why he went on the show, but here's my point. Yeah. The whole morality issue of society has made people take very lightly the commitment of marriage. And as much as marriage is promoted in the Bible, as a matter of fact, it's promoted right from the beginning. Adam was the first one that made the statement. This is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. For this cause ought a man leave his mother and father and cleave to his own wife, and the two shall be one flesh. Number one, Adam didn't have a mother or father. How then did he have the concept of a mother and father? And the fact that a man should leave his mother and father and become one with his wife is because Adam had been with God. God had shared some very intimate information and knowledge with Adam. So what Adam wasn't a dummy, just dropped in the pond. He had some wisdom that God had imparted into him, and so Adam had an understanding about how things should go. Hey, Brother Jesse, my good friend, Brother Jesse Johnson is on. How you doing, man? But you gotta see this. In this wisdom that Jesus is giving, he says, if he looketh upon her to lust, after he's already committed adultery already in his heart. He said he has committed adultery already in his heart. In other words, that mind, the commercial says, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. It's also a very dangerous thing to toy with. The mind is dangerous. You don't toy with the mind. The moment you start toying with your mind, that is dangerous. Yeah, you don't toy with your mind. Because to toy with the mind means it's like playing with a poisonous snake and then being surprised when you get bit. You don't play with the mind. See, he said wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, seek wisdom. And if any man desires wisdom, let him ask of God. We don't get wisdom We get wisdom from God. We don't get wisdom from the devil, from foolishness. And because wise people have it from God and they impart it unto us, they are transferring to us what they received from God. We have to turn the tide now of the way society sees things, because we now have a society where and this still stems from, I shared last night about the forum I went to with the millennials. It was about 50, I think it was 50, 52 young people who were in ministry. Their thoughts on spirituality, salvation, and human sexuality was so skewed from what we were taught and have learned from life experience. I'm very concerned about where the next generation is going to go. They've replaced salvation or being saved with, well, I'm spiritual. And if I say I'm spiritual, then I'm connected to God. Huh?
I'm sorry, that doesn't compute. I'm not confused.
It doesn't compute,
It does not compute.
but they're spiritual. God is a spirit.
But God also made animals. They were spiritual too, but they're not connected to God.
But if you're spiritual, I mean, this is the new norm now. You just got to say you're spiritual. You know, it's like the people who used to say, I go to church every Sunday. Did that mean anything? Okay. I grew up, okay, you know, and we always tell the story, we were drug babies. We were drug to church Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah. We had Saturday off because we were getting ready to be for the Sunday drug. Getting drugged Sunday, church. Quick, you know what I'm saying. They didn't ask us if we were going to church. And we knew the schedule. No, they didn't even say get dressed. When they were getting ready to walk out the door, you better already be dressed and ready to go too. Getting in the car. And don't be giving no back talk or no lip. You sure better beat mama to the car. I mean, we used to be out there waiting on her to open the door. Don't have her have to call you or come back in the house and get you. Please. And as much as we were drugged to church, I didn't really have a relationship with God until I was in my late teens. See, yeah, I went through the motions. We did all the stuff they did in church. We played church. We played shouting and dancing. And, you know, we did all of that. We sung in the Sunshine Band, sung in the choir. I was a musician. I played the drums, played the organ, played my trumpet. But the relationship didn't develop until later. We have developed a generation who simply regard the fact that they consider themselves spiritual, that they have a relationship the way God wants one with them. They have an issue about us commenting about their attire. They have an issue about us commenting about their human sexuality. Now, human sexuality outside of the design that God created in us naturally is against God. It's an insult to God. He designed us. Now, and I know we keep repeating this. Some people say, you know, we bring it up too much, but all we need to do is look at what God did when he says, it's not good that man should be alone. So he put Adam to sleep. He took a rib out of him and he formed his mate and brought her and presented her to him. I think that's the end of the explanation of what is intended. when it comes to our human sexuality. And in the beginning, he says, male and female created he them. So, and he said to them, to who? The male and the female. He couldn't have said this to a male and a male, and he couldn't have said this to a female and a female, because they can't do what he said. Be fruitful, multiply, and replenish the earth. Two women can't be fruitful and multiply. Two men can't be fruitful and multiply. There's a serious contradiction in that equation, that there's no way you can justify a man and a woman. I mean, a man and a man, or a woman and a woman being okay with God when it comes to sexuality. Even to the point that he says marriage is honorable and the bed undefiled. That means the only sanctioned act of sex should be between a husband and a wife. That was the only sanctioned sex act. So here is the other part. And boy, we out of time. It's 5:59. Something I heard disturbed me, and it's been at least, let's see, 18 years ago, because it was around 2004, 2005. I was on a bus, on AC Transit, riding down what I know is East 14th, International Boulevard now. And it was on the 82, which is now the Temple, the one, yeah. But anyway, I'm on the bus, and there's a group of students in the back of the bus. And these young girls are just talking, and they're real graphic, and they're talking sex talk. And so I said something to them, and they looked at me and said, "Oh, OG, you don't know what's up." I said, "Well, I just don't understand, the way you guys are talking, and you're talking like this is so casual and normal." And this is when they were first talking about, same sex. And they said, "Well, just sex is sex. And it's better to have oral sex because you can't get pregnant." And I was like, me, I usually have a response to just about everything. And I looked at them, and I said, "God, this generation needs help. They really do." The whole concept that they have, and look at how society is presenting them and presenting the whole man-woman relationship to them. But here's the other part. So many women, though, and men are still seeking advice. You have Steve Harvey advice, the Kevin Samuels, I forget this other girl. She's on YouTube now. Oh, Lord. I can't think all their names. But anyway, I've been doing some research now. Who are they listening to? Who are these people listening to? And the strangest thing is, the majority of the people that they are listening to are not really what I would consider godly people. Kevin Samuels is a psychiatrist, psychologist type therapist. He speaks from that venue, but he doesn't speak from a godly man perspective. Steve Harvey says he's a God and talks about God, but Steve does a whole lot of things that makes you question his relationship with God. And then you listen to some of these others. They have their own agendas. I listen to, and I try to be fair, and I look for segments that they have posted that really shows their true thoughts, how they really feel, and their personality. There was one, though, I really admired her. Oh, Pastor Sam says they are listening to themselves and using these people to justify their actions. Okay, I agree with that. They go on and find people who speak in the vein that they are seeking justification and to do it. He says, all the ways of a man seem right in his own eyes. That's the Bible, bro. You right. And so they are seeking out those who make them feel comfortable and justified in their wrong actions. That's dangerous, especially for the church. And it's dangerous because the church is supposed to be the standard for the world, not the world for the church. Our fashion now mimics the world. Our activities mimic the world. Our conversations mimic the world. And even now, our practices when it comes to marital relationships, dating, courting, all of that is like we're reading from the Dr. Seuss book. To me, it's because it's just comics. It's not a reality, and it's definitely not God-centered. So anyway, that's our class for tonight. We're gonna pick you up tomorrow. Is our weekly wrap up live at 5. We will be back on at 5 p.m. I'm looking for Pastor Samuel to be on, but not Bishop Elsie. He's been instructed by the doctor. No activities for the next 5 to 7 days. I think he should adhere to that. So I'm gonna even see if I can talk him into letting me do his Saturday Bible study, because we just don't want him. Bishop Elsie, very good brother, and we want him to stay around a while. Don't push things. We are older. It takes longer for our bodies to recover. And my daddy used to say, if you're gonna go to the doctor and let him treat you, take his advice. All right. So anyway, thank you all for coming on tonight. I appreciate all of you. I pray that you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. And as always, God loves you and I love you. Not a thing you can do about it. You go and be blessed in the name